So your dad's girlfriend, she broke your arm, and then what happened after that?
After she broke my arm, we went to the hospital. Of course, we had the lie together at that point. So
Mhm.
we went to the hospital. Um, Social worker pulled me to the side because I was the oldest, and she gave me a bag of tissue.
Mm.
And every lie I told, she would take away a tissue. And
Oh,
eventually, I told so
interesting.
many
That's an
lies.
interesting method. Do
Yeah.
you think it was effective? Like that's
Yes,
it's
it
really
was
it
effective.
was
It
as a
was
kid.
very
Hey, don't
effective.
take my candy.
It's like,
I'll
no,
tell you anything.
like that's my bag of Tootsie Rolls.
Okay.
So eventually, all the candy was gone, and I needed to get that candy back. So I told her
So
the truth.
so you were telling her lies, and she was taking the candy away.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you remember how many were in there, like roughly?
I would say it was one of those packs of like it was 25 Tootsie Rolls.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
about 25
Okay.
Tootsie Rolls.
Okay. So she took them away, and then you were like, the game is to get them back.
Yeah, the
All
game is to get them back.
right.
So we started telling the truth, and as I told the truth, she brought in cameras, she took pictures, and then when that was over, she looked at us, and she didn't say much. She walked us out to her car, and she took us on foster care.
Mm.
But upon me looking back out that window, I saw my dad looking at the car. What?
Mm. Yeah, they're taking you.
Yeah.
They're taking you away. Did you feel sad?
Well, no, I didn't feel sad because I didn't know what was going on.
Ah.
I didn't feel sad till we actually got to the Guardian's home.
Oh.
And, they split me, my sisters and brothers up because
Oh
of our
no.
age ranges.
Right. Right.
So, at the Guardian's home, we may have saw each other once a week.
Okay.
And that
Yeah.
was hard because everybody was young.
Yeah.
And then from the guard, we stayed in the Guardian's home for about a year or two. And then one day, this lady, Aura Jacobs, she comes and picks us up from the Guardian's home.
Mm.
And we're all crying, and all over the place. And she's like, hey, if you guys want to stay together, y'all need to shut up. And, I was like, y'all, she going to keep us all. We need to shut up, be quiet. Let's take this ride home. She takes us to her house. She had a big house. She had already had some kids in there. She had maybe two other kids, and she brought me and my four brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
It opened up her home.
Yeah.
It was the first time I felt love.
Wow. Wow.
But her love was different because it came with discipline and consequences.
Oh, wow.
And I was never used to the discipline and the consequences
Right.
of my action.
Right. But you still look back and say, that's love.
Yes.
Even today with the discipline, was it hard? Like as a child going through this, was it a hard experience? Having that discipline at a young age, coming from the environment you were in?
Well, coming from the environment I was in, I would say yes.
Okay.
She was pretty hands. At first, she would tell you.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't get it, then she had this wooden paddle.
Oh no. Okay.
And she would be like, "Okay, you did. The reason why you're getting this pedal is because I told you to do this, and you didn't do it, and I told
Okay.
you multiple times."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, no, but you don't have to whip me. She's like, yes, I do, because this is how you're gonna remember.
Wow. Wow. So did you see to you, because a lot of people have very strong feelings about like spanking and whipping and those type of things. Did you see a difference between her discipline and the environment you had gone through and the abuse you had gone through with your family?
Yes, I did.
It felt different.
It felt different. It just was like it was totally different because I never knew why I was being abused by my stepmother. But with a little bit, I knew exactly why she was doing this, and she would always talk to you after she whooped you, and
Wow.
she would put you in the corner, and she would still come by and talk to you. Are you okay? Do you understand why this happened?
Right.
Like,
Did she ever
just-
tell? Did she say she loved you? Did she articulate that to you?
No, she showed me.
She showed you. So, would you say this was one of the first times in your life you felt you were shown love?
Yes. And like I still remember like my first Christmas with her. Like we had never really had a Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, when she asked me, she was like, "What's one thing you want?" And I was like, "A pair of skates." She's like, "Can you skate?" And I'm like, "No, I can't." I'm like, "But I want
I'm
these
gonna
skates."
learn.
Yeah, like, I want these skates.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I had never gotten anything that I actually wanted. So
Yeah.
when I actually got those skates on Christmas, you know, I just put them. I'm like, "What? I got some skates?" I'm like, I put them on, went outside, fell, bust my head, and then her husband comes out and he was like, "You know, you're supposed to put on training pads and everything. That's what we bought you these things for." And I'm like, "Well, no, I was just excited to have those skates and, you know, have some toys that were mine, you know, that I didn't have to share or give to anyone. Like,
Yeah.
it was mine."
Wow. And so was she married?
Yeah, she was married.
And her husband, good guy?
Yeah, great guy. His name was Elliot Jacobs.
Okay.
He's actually still around. Her and him are still around. I call him. I haven't talked to him in about 3 years now.
Okay. Okay.
Because my communication with going through all that is
Right.
just pretty scattered.
Right.
I really don't trust.
So here you have excuse me, you have this positive, loving role model in a woman
Mhm.
and in a man. And you had never had that before. Did that reframe to you like love?
Yeah, it did. It did reframe love.
Or the beginning? Was
it,
that the beginning of
It was the beginning of love.
love?
And
Yes,
it was the
yes.
first time I felt love, I felt accepted, but it was short lived.
Okay, and short-lived because
I would say about 6 months into it, my grandmother pops up out of nowhere,
no.
and my grandmother adopts us.
Okay.
We didn't know this. You know, a little bit. She came and sat me down one day, and she was like, "I'm sorry." She's like, "If I could keep you, I would." She said, "But I can't." She's like, "Your grandmother has came in the picture, and she has legally adopted you guys. So tomorrow, y'all have to pack up all y'all things and and they will be over here to get you."
Just like that.
Just like that. So from there, we go to grandma's. Grandma already had 4 other kids because my grandmother had all of her kids because everybody had lost their battle to cocaine. So all of her kids were strung out.
Wow.
So she had all her kids. And, you know, bringing in 4 other kids on top of, you know, the 3 or 4 you already had, you know, that's challenging. Grandma modified the house, you know, and put the girls upstairs. She was in the middle, and she put the boys down.
Yeah. Had she changed? Had she evolved? Had she gotten better?
Well, it didn't get bad with grandma because we didn't really know grandma.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
we knew of grandma, but we didn't know grandma. We didn't know how grandma was. So we had never, you know, had a lot of food or anything. And grandma, so we would steal food, you know, we would go in the refrigerator, take food out, you know, just.
You would take food out because she wasn't beating you?
Well, it's just, it wasn't enough. And,
Okay.
you know, coming from Aura Jacobs
Right.
a little bit, she would, you know, fix a whole meal and set it out on the table and leave it there all day.
Right.
So you come and eat as you please. So that's what we were used to. But my grandmother, she wasn't that way.
Right.
If you want something, you come ask for it.
Okay. 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 Gotcha.
And asking for it
Yeah.
was pretty intimidating.
Okay. So again, did you feel love from grandma?
I guess to an extent, because when grandma couldn't control us, grandma would pinch our hands with pliers. She would make us put our hands on top of a burning eye.
Oh.
You know, it was basically to teach us a lesson. But you know, most of that stuff we was already used to because we had already endured it with Nikki.
So you say grandma abused you? Would you say it's a form? Would you feel? Do you feel you were abused?
I mean, thinking about it, yes, it was abuse, but it wasn't abuse to what I was used to.
What you were used to?
So
yes,
it wasn't abuse
yes,
to me.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it was
yeah.
like grandma,
Yeah.
this is grandma whooping.
From
us,
what
you know,
what you knew and what you experienced, it was different. It was on a
Yeah.
totally different scale.
yeah, totally different.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
then, you know, grandma, she goes to court. I think at one time we tried to burn down the house because she had chained my brother up in some chains because he wouldn't stop moving. You know, he was always into stuff.
Yeah.
So she chained him up and put him in the basement, and a lock on it, and he could not get out.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh.
me and my sister went downstairs and we tried to burn down the house.
Wow.
My grandma took a picture of that, took it to court, and that basically declared us crazy.
Okay.
And then they took us to a clinic called Wynoma
Okay.
on Meridian Street,
Okay.
which is no longer there. And they put us on medicine. And we were on,
Yeah. What was that?
Zoloft,
Okay.
a very high milligram. We would sit in the basement for hours, just staring in space.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
you know, that went on for a while. And then one day my auntie, she moved in with my grandmother. And my auntie was like, why are y'all like this? I don't move. Y'all don't do nothing.
Like you were like kind of spacey.
Yeah. And she's like, what's going on? She's like, what y'all taking? So then she took the pills. And she flushed them down the toilet herself.
Why?
Because I don't think she liked us to interact, and she had 2 kids of her own.
Okay.
And we weren't kids that would interact. We would go in the basement and sit down.
So she was doing it because she thought it was for your best interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.